Welcome to Bedtime Stories on Canvas, a quiet little place where gentle stories and the soft movement of paint across a canvas help you relax, slow down, and peacefully drift towards sleep. Tonight, as soft brush strokes glide across the canvas in warm, calming colors, we'll listen to a tender little story about love, doubt, and the quiet sacrifices that are sometimes hidden inside the hearts of those who care for us most. Now, let the soft painting movements relax your mind, and let's begin. In a peaceful corner of an old forest, far away from noise and hurry, stood a tall ancient tree whose branches stretched wide against the sky. High among those branches lived two birds. They had shared the same tree for a very long time. Through warm summers, gentle rains, and cold winters, they had remained together. The male bird loved the female bird deeply. Every morning, he searched the forest for the finest grains he could find. Tiny golden seeds, sweet berries, little treasures hidden beneath leaves. And whenever he returned, he always placed the best ones beside her first. When the evenings became quiet and the wind moved softly through the trees, he sang for her. Long, peaceful songs that floated through the forest like whispers. And when storms rolled across the sky, he stayed close so she would never feel afraid or alone. But sometimes even love can become difficult to see clearly when fear quietly enters the heart. The female bird cared for him very much, but deep inside, a small doubt had begun to grow. She often wondered silently to herself, "He is kind to me, so gentle, so caring, but what if someday his heart changes?" At first, these thoughts came only once in a while, like passing clouds. But over time, the clouds grew heavier. Small disagreements began between them. Tiny conversations that left sadness hanging in the air long after the words had faded. Sometimes she would look at him with worried eyes and softly say, "I don't think you love me the way you used to." And each time, the male bird looked tired and confused. He would answer gently, "If I didn't love you, why would I stay beside you every single day?" But even his kindness could not fully quiet the fear inside her heart. And as the paintbrush slowly moves across the canvas tonight, perhaps you can feel your own thoughts beginning to slow too, like soft ripples settling across calm water. Sometimes the mind becomes tired from questioning things over and over. And sometimes rest begins when we simply allow ourselves to let go for a little while. One cold winter afternoon, the doubt inside the female bird finally spilled out all at once. The wind blew sharply through the forest that day. Snow rested lightly across the ground, and the branches trembled in the freezing air. The female bird turned toward him and spoke with unusual seriousness. "I want to know the truth," she said. The male bird remained silent. "Tomorrow morning, before the sun rises, let us both meet beneath this tree. Whoever arrives there first loves the other more." For a moment, the forest became completely still. The male bird looked at her quietly. Then he gave a soft little smile. "If that will finally bring peace to your heart," he said gently, "then I agree." As evening slowly arrived, the female bird returned to her nest to rest before morning came. But the male bird stayed behind beneath the old tree. The sun disappeared beyond the distant hills, and darkness slowly wrapped itself around the forest. The cold became sharper. He looked up at the night sky and whispered softly to himself, "What if I fall asleep and wake too late? What if she arrives before me and believes I never truly cared?" The thought troubled him deeply, so he made a quiet decision. He would remain there, beneath the tree, all night long. No matter how cold it became, no matter how painful, the freezing wind felt against his feathers. He curled himself tightly beneath the branches, trying to keep warm as snow drifted softly through the dark air. The hours passed slowly. The wind howled through the forest. His tiny body trembled from the bitter cold, but still he stayed. All through the night, he thought only of her. "When morning comes," he whispered weakly, "she will finally understand. If you are still with me and enjoying peaceful bedtime stories like these, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a gentle comment below telling me where you're listening from tonight. Your support helps this quiet little corner continue to grow." Meanwhile, high above in her nest, the female bird could not sleep either. She kept opening her eyes to check the stars above the forest. "I'll arrive early," she thought to herself. "Then he'll know how much I love him too." And somewhere between those quiet thoughts, both birds spent the night believing they were trying to protect love, while not realizing how fragile love can become when trust begins to disappear. At last, the dark sky slowly began turning pale blue. Morning had arrived. The female bird quickly flew down toward the old tree, her heart beating fast. With nervous excitement, she searched the snowy ground below. But he wasn't there. Her wings slowed. A quiet sadness moved through her chest. "He didn't come," she whispered softly. For a moment, disappointment filled her heart. She settled quietly on one of the branches, staring down at the snow-covered ground beneath the tree. Maybe I was right after all," she thought sadly. But even as she tried to believe those words, something inside her felt unsettled. The forest was too quiet, too still. Minutes passed slowly as sunlight began spreading gently through the trees. Then suddenly, her eyes noticed something near the base of the trunk. Partly hidden beneath a thin layer of snow was a small motionless shape. Her heart stopped. She quickly flew downward. And the moment she landed beside him, the truth shattered her completely. It was him. His tiny body remained curled beneath the tree, exactly where he had stayed through the freezing night. His feathers were stiff from the cold. His wings no longer moved. His eyes would never open again. No, please," she cried desperately. She pressed herself against him, trying to warm him with her wings, hoping somehow he would wake. But the winter had already taken him away. And as she wept beside him, beneath the silent tree, she noticed something lying near his side. A tiny flower petal. The very same kind he once gave her during springtime. Beside it rested one of his feathers, carefully tucked against the petal, as though he had placed it there before the cold became too strong. No words had been written, but somehow the message was still clear. "I never left. I stayed because I wanted your heart to finally feel safe." The female bird held him close and cried into the cold winter air. "You foolish bird," she whispered through tears. You stayed here all night just to prove something I should have already known. Snow continued falling gently around them, and the forest remained silent. Sometimes, love is not found in loud promises or dramatic gestures. Sometimes it lives quietly inside the smallest acts, inside the patient waiting, the silent sacrifices, the gentle presence that remains beside us, even during life's coldest seasons. Yet many times, people test the hearts that love them most, not because they are cruel, but because they are afraid. Afraid of being abandoned, afraid of being unimportant, afraid of giving their heart completely. But love was never meant to be a competition to win. It was always meant to be something soft, something protected, something trusted gently. And as the final brushstrokes slowly move across the canvas tonight, perhaps this little story can remind us of something important. To appreciate quiet love while it is still beside us. To trust kindness before fear replaces it. To hold close the people who stay, even when life becomes difficult. Because sometimes, by the time we finally understand how deeply someone cared for us, only memories remain where their presence once was. Now the forest grows quiet once more. The snow continues to fall softly beneath the old tree. And somewhere far away, the wind carries the fading echo of a song once sung with love. So tonight, allow your thoughts to rest. Allow your heart to soften. And as sleep slowly begins to find you, let the calm movement of the paintbrush guide your mind into stillness. Thank you for spending this peaceful moment here at Bedtime Stories on Canvas.